Let's Greetings. Welcome to our September GLE called Creating Community in Your Classroom and Program, presented by Team Wolfpack, which includes Amanda, Cheryl, Christina, Kalita, Rebecca C., and myself, Nadir. Coincides with BrightSpark's mission to nurture and sustain child-centered, anti-racist early learning communities.
I'm Amanda, and I'm going to be doing the land and labor acknowledgement. Um, I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional. Can you hear me? Sorry. I would like to begin by acknowledging that we are on the traditional lands of the coast of Salish people, including the Puyallup, Duwamish, Nuquamish, Nisqually, and many others who have carved for this land since the time immemorial. I also want to honor the labor that has built and sustained our communities, including the forced labor of enslaved Africans and the exploited labor of immigrants and migrant workers. As we come together today, let us hold gratitude for their contributions, remember the resilience of these communities, and the commitment to ourselves to equity, justice, and inclusion in our work. Next slide, please. So today's agenda, we'll be discussing ways to create and strengthen the community in our classroom environment, among the staff, and with families. We will explain how these communities strengthen our quality and show evidence of how this is shown in early achievers' quality recognition process.
Hi, my name is Kalita, and I will talk about how we can create community amongst children. So, building community in childcare spaces help children feel safe, connected, and confident while supporting their emotional and academic growth. It also creates a joyful, inclusive environment where every child can thrive. Of creating community amongst children are it helps develop their empathy and kindness, teaches them cooperation and conflict resolution, strengthens friendship and trust. And then from an academic and developmental perspective, it boosts their engagement and participation. It encourages problem solving and teamwork, and it prepares children for the future learning. How teachers can support creating community amongst children. So teachers can model respect and inclusiveness, encourage student voice and choice, create group activities, classroom jobs and responsibilities. Teachers can also celebrate achievements together and also celebrate differences as strengths, and ensure every child feels represented.
Thank you for that, Kalita. My portion, I'll be talking about how the student community is evident in the quick tools. Let's go to the next slide. So with these student communities, oftentimes they happen organically, but sometimes in the classroom and being a teacher is good for you to provide some examples and a framework and some guidance on what that might look like. You can do that in reading different books that have scenarios where you can see acts of kindness, acts of community in the classroom. You can show them different examples through role playing, puppets. You can even introduce to them some of these specific roles. So one thing that I want to emphasize in the classroom always is to teach less with an emphasis on the individual, but more on the collective. Teach your students to embrace themselves as one whole community. So model for them the different roles that they can take on. And these are some examples I was able to come up with. The leader, someone that's confident, reliable, understands the rules, models for others, and likes to help out. The caretaker, we tend to have a lot of these in the classroom. They tend to friends who are feeling down, whether it's emotionally or maybe they have a physical outie. There's always a friend that likes to come over and help out, and likes to tend to those type of friends. We call them caretakers. Someone that needs a hug, needs a little smile, sometimes telling a joke, being silly. Those moments where these caretakers, they jump in, that's part of the community that you want to have in your classroom. Another one I call is a ray of sunshine, someone that's full of smiles all the time, full of laugh, full of positivity, and just always full of fun. Someone that's full of life, and they always bring the mood up anytime they enter the classroom, anytime they enter a certain area of the classroom, or if they get called on during circle time. These are always parts of the classroom, these parts of the community that you want to shine on, to emphasize more, so they can see evidence and examples. Hey, this is what I kind of want to follow in the footstep of. Another one is the learner. These are, the ones that are more shy, newer to the classroom, new to the community. They're just observing. They're learning what the dynamic of the classroom looks like, all the personalities. They're, engaging, but they're trying to see, where can I fit in? Where can my personality be part of this classroom dynamic? Let's get to the next slide. Oh, so small. 1 second. I'm loading on my end. Listen. So some of these examples that we can find in the quick tool will be scaffolding children's learning. Leaders often support other friends by modeling for them, by teaching them the different concepts and helping them understand. Like this is one of the examples in the quick tools. 1 second, I got it right. And another one is enhanced language, which is in the quick tool criteria 3. Those in the student community those in the student community who are more confident, encourage them to talk more. So these are some of the conversations that you want to see more of kids by encouraging and facilitating some peer support, facilitating some of these conversations between kids, either during mealtime, during outside time, or setting them up in different activities where they can play together, where they're enjoying a fun game, where they're succeeding together. That's where conversations start to blossom a little bit more. uh, Being sensitive to children's needs. These are where the caretakers in the classroom, they tend to step in. They are aware of the emotions. They're aware of some of the needs, and they don't prioritize, going to the next part of the activity or continuing the game. If they see a friend that might be hurt, they're most likely going to pause the game, pause their jump rope, pause playing basketball for a little bit to tend to the friend that is in need during that time. And then the last one is behavior and environmental support. There's always students in the classroom who like the rules a little bit more, like to remind others of the rules. Emphasize some of these roles and capitalize on these kids knowing the rules and helping other friends understand, and show them how to do it in a nice way that doesn't turn off other friends, that doesn't rub them the wrong way. Oftentimes, you're the enforcer, you're the teacher. You don't always have to be the bad guy. Sometimes you can have others echo for you what the rules are, and it's not coming from you, it's coming from everyone that's agreeing, hey, this is what we're supposed to be doing. Not only is teachers saying that, but everyone else is saying that as well. So definitely utilize these roles in the classroom and give them examples. Show them that these roles are something that we can take on. These are examples of roles in our student community that can help not only you, but help everyone else in the classroom blossom all throughout the year.
Next, we're going to discuss about creating community with families. A partnership approach to family engagement in your early child care education center. And the key idea for this is to make sure that family engagement is deep, collaborative relationship between families, educators, and the community. It's not just about getting parents to attend events. It's about building trust and working together for a child's success. So, what does this look like? It's relationship based. We build trust and respect by listening and moving beyond formal interactions. So, hi and goodbye, yeah, those are great, but we need to be intentional about making deeper connections. Strength based. We recognize and value the unique knowledge and cultural backgrounds of each family brings and support them by being intentional about bringing that up when you're having your conversations with them. Two-way communication. We ensure communication is a dialogue, not a monologue, using accessible and culturally appropriate methods. So if there are language barriers that may be present, see if there can be an interpreter available, or if you can have a translator that can help support you to make sure that the parents are able to communicate back with you and that you can communicate with them clearly as well. And empowerment, we provide families with resources and support so they can become active partners and advocates for their children's learning. And that can be just different resources and educating the parents on the aspects of child development that you'll be working with the parents and the children with as well. So next, the different benefits that come with building these partnerships. Meaningful family engagement leads to better outcomes for everyone involved. So for the children, evidence shows that they will show higher academic achievement, stronger social emotional skills, and a more positive attitude towards school. They feel more secure and confident because there's a connection between home and school where they don't feel alienated and they feel, the quote right at home comes from. For families, they gain confidence in their parenting skills and feel more connected to the community. So they feel they can be advocates for their family and their children, and they feel more comfortable with asking questions or if anything does come about. And for us as the educators, we get a deeper understanding of each child's life, which helps us tailor our teaching. This leads to a more positive classroom climate and greater job satisfaction. So creating and being intentional about building a community within your classroom, helps with that burnout because it doesn't feel like work. It feels like, it feels like um so these are different evidence-based strategies that can create meaningful engagement. And the purpose is to implement practical, proven strategies to build a culture of family engagement. And these are just a few, but if you have any more questions, feel free to reach out to your coach for more suggestions. But here, building trusting relationships. So using consistent communication like newsletters and apps, or for home visits to personalize connections and show genuine interest. And that can, help you get past those formal greetings and really get down to, learning who the people are. Creating a welcoming environment, make your space inviting with family photos and multilingual signs. Provide comfortable areas for families to gather so that they don't feel like they can just only sign in and get out. I know during the pandemic, there have been many adjustments that didn't really create spaces for people to congregate and speak with each other. But now things are a bit changing a little bit. Um, Think about different changes you can make to your environment to support those families to be able to talk with each other and to build community that way as well as different events where the families can get together and, learn and learn about each other and more cordial. Empower families as partners. Invite families to participate in decision making on advisory committees, as well as offer workshops on child development and literacy. So that makes the families feel that, you have invested interest in them and that you trust that they can also be, a part of your teaching team with the child. And then provide flexible opportunities. Offer events at different times, some in the morning, some in the evening, some in weekends, and provide virtual options to accommodate diverse family schedules. And that's, supportive for families because it's diverse and everyone has different schedules, and you want to make sure that a family can have a night be able to attend the event that's in the morning, but if you have something that's on the weekends or in the evenings, they might be able to be at that event as well. So being flexible with that creates a more healthy, stable environment to build community with the families. And these activities bring our strategies to life and create opportunities for shared learning and celebration. So learning at home, sending home literacy kits and books, and reading tips for the family so they can practice doing that with their child to build up just skills and suggest simple STEM challenges families can do it together as well, which can create a great home to school connection. In the classroom, invite families to volunteer or host cultural sharing days, hold a career day to connect families for professions to the classroom, And then also events and celebrations. Host family fun nights with games and crafts. Celebrate children's progress with portfolio parties as well. And I think that's a very good idea, have the children present the work that they've been doing over the past few months. I think that's very novel. And then feedback and collaboration, using surveys to ask for input. Form a parent advisory board to work on school goals and initiatives, and that can definitely be more intentional.
Thank you, Nadir. Now we're going to talk about community with your families as it relates to the RRT. So from the records review, there's 3 different standards that you can complete to help your family engagement be stronger. Oh, we need to go back. Oh, I don't. There we go. So family engagement action plan standard number 1 is that you have at least one active family engagement action plan goal that has been recorded on the family engagement action form plan. To determine what goal you want to work on, you would complete the strengthening families self-assessment, which can be found on the um, DCYF website. So that's a self-assessment where you can look at your program and see what areas you think you might have lower scores in, and then you can use that information to create a goal. Some of those goals can be things like family events, open house nights, can be maybe you have like a movie night for your families, or you have families come in and they share different foods from their from their cultures. So it's just anything that you would like to work on that you think is going to help strengthen your community with your families. Standard 2 is that you document the progress on the family engagement action plan, and that's worth 2 points. And then standard 3 is that you have to show evidence of completed goals from the family engagement action plan, which is worth another 2 points. So altogether, the family engagement action plan is worth 6 points. So standard 1 is the family engagement action plan template records goals for supporting families based on the strengthening families or an equivalent self-assessment. I know that some of the corporate sites have their own family engagement surveys, and you could use that as well. So to earn the 2 points, you have to have the goals are recorded on the family engagement plan and dated within the last 12 months. And this is important because if you look below, the 12 months is not calculated off a calendar year. It's calculated off of the day that you submit your RRT for scoring. So if you were to submit it today, September 26, 2025, it would need to be dated. It could be dated as far back as September 26, 2024, but anything beyond that would not be usable. And so there is a template for this. You can find it in the CC resource library. And it does need to be on that template, but you can download that template and you can type into it. You can print it out and write into it. Whatever way works best for you. And at least one outcome or goal must be developed and documented within the last 12 months. And it needs to be specific to your program site. So if you're from a corporate site where you have multiple programs within the same area, you guys cannot use the same action plan for all of the sites. And this is on the guide to the records review tool on page 34. So standard 2 is that you document progress on the family engagement action plan. And this is again worth 2 points. So dated documentation of progress toward outcomes or goals from the Family Engagement Action Plan is on file. So they have some examples listed here of including an invitation to a family event that would coincide with the goal to increase your family engagement, a copy of a newsletter in multiple languages to increase that communication in your family's home language, or a phone tree to connect families together. Evidence of this progress again must be dated within the past 12 months, and that 12 months calculated off the date that you submit. And then family engagement action plan again must be specific to your location. And then the third standard for this is that you show evidence of that you've completed the goals from the Family Engagement Action Plan. And there's a third page of this documentation is on that form. Examples of the documentation include just how did it go? How did the event go? Parent feedback, next steps, reflection on how a phone tree is working. You can print out or upload pictures of your family event, and then documentation again must include examples of what went well, what did not go well, and how could you improve this next time you did it. Again, must be specific to your program and must be completed within the last 12 months. And then we have here is the Family Engagement Action Plan that you can find on your CC account. So you have your first page, which is over here on the right, which it has the very top, which is the date the action plan was created. And that date again is the most important thing, because if you're going to get these points, they are dependent upon one another. So if you don't meet the criteria for the standard one, which would be it's dated within the last 12 months, and that 12 months calculated off the day that you submit, you cannot get standard 2 or standard 3. So the second page again is that progress. So you would date your progress. So maybe you were hosting a family event and you dated it and you said, emailed flyer to families, and then you would upload a copy of that flyer. So it's just, what did you do? What did you work on towards this goal? And then again, the last page, which is on the left, is goal review. So the date that the goal was done, and then the date that you reviewed the goal. They can be the same day, they can be different days. It's fine, it doesn't really matter. And then what went well, and then challenges, and then what changes are you going to make? And you can put in here that it went well, my family's enjoyed it, this is something that we are going to continue working on. And then we're going to talk about creating community with staff. So to create a strong and lasting community with your childcare staff, focus on fostering open communication, celebrating contributions, and prioritizing well-being. By being intentional about these efforts, you can build a supportive and motivated team. So the first area we're going to talk about is cultivating an open and inclusive culture inside of your program. So we want to encourage those two-way convos. So this creates an environment where every staff member feels valued and comfortable speaking out. And then listen actively. This is really important. We don't want to be thinking about, our next statement or what I'm going to do next. So paying attention to staff insights, their opinions, by asking open-ended questions and then summarizing what has been said. And then you want to be sure to pay attention to those nonverbal cues. So shifting of body language, not making eye contact. Those might indicate that there is some uncomfortableness happening. And then conduct regular meetings. So these can be weekly or monthly team meetings. And these shouldn't just be to meet when somebody has done something that you feel like needs to be corrected. These should be something that is a good thing. We don't want your staff to dread every time they have to go in and talk to you. So we want to talk about what went well, what are the challenges, suggestions for improvement. So making sure that we are using these meetings as a way to build up your team. And then check in one-on-one. So holding formal one-on-one meetings with your staff, it just lets them know that you are invested in them and that you care about them. So you would again discuss challenges, talk about what is going well, and then setting goals. The second one would be show appreciation and recognize staff. So, talking about what has gone well. So these can be big or small. They can be simple shout outs during meetings or during a weekly email or newsletter. And then offering financial and non-financial rewards can be great. So these can be as simple as a coffee shop gift card or a lunch bought for them. Some rewards can be as simple as a thank you note or other words of appreciation. And then creating special occasion or celebrating special occasions, excuse me. Learning what is important to your staff to celebrate holidays that are im important to them. So celebrating work birthdays or anniversaries together as a team. It's really important with this that you understand your staff because not every staff member celebrates every holiday and not every staff member celebrates uh, for birthdays. So getting to know them is going to be important so you know which occasion to celebrate. And then learning your staff's love language. So not every staff member will feel appreciated in the same way. So getting to know how each staff member feels appreciated will help you tailor your rewards in a way that best suits each person. And then the last one is prioritizing your staff's well-being. So offer wellness support. This can be being there for your employees, allowing and making a trusted space for them to tell you what is going on, and then promoting your staff to have a good work-life balance. And with that goes that you as the supervisor needs to model these as well. So taking breaks, show that you prioritize health and show that a healthy work-life balance and encourage staff to have one as well. And then being flexible. So flexible scheduling as much as you can. We all know that, we have to have a schedule, but allowing time for staff to take care of themselves is going to go a long way with your staff.
I'm gonna talk about ways to support staff belonging. Sorry, my computer is like going haywire for some reason. Um, so, hmm, so sorry, y'all. Had everything ready and then it just started like going crazy. So, give me 1 second. So, I'm gonna talk about ways to support staff belonging. So, teachers can fall easily into like the routine of just getting through the day. As leaders, we can help staff feel like they belong by creating space for their voices, celebrating their strength, authoring encouragement, simple gestures like checking in, giving choice on planning, or highlighting their successes during staff meetings go a long way. When staff feel they belong, they show up for children and families more. with energy and joy. And so I wanted to relate that to the quick tool. So like in quick 7, it says peer interactions and support. So pair staff during center time so they can share strategies, just like children. Us as adults, we like to learn and collaborate from each other. Even like in my daily life, when I'm doing my job as a coaching, I might look to my team and be like, how can I make this easier for myself? Or what am I not doing correctly? So, it's very nice to have someone to just like get ideas from and like piggyback off of each other. In quick 8, it says positive teacher and child interactions. So, a teacher greets each child by the name at the door, modeling warmth and care. Leaders can mirror this by personally checking in with staff. So as you see your staff members coming through the door, a lot of times in childcare, we try to like check our feelings at the door and like come in and just be ready for the kids, but you can't always do that. So you as the supervisor or the director, just checking in with your staff, making sure everything's going well. They might be having a day and maybe there's other things they can do around the center to help. Maybe you could pull them out of ratio or maybe, being in ratio might help them. So maybe today they're the lead for all their favorite activities. Um, and just, you know, doing shout outs for each teacher, naming strains. You guys could keep like little notes for each other. I worked at one place where they did something that was called a warm fuzzy. It was actually Starbucks where they did something that was called a warm fuzzy. And we would write notes to each other and just tell them like compliments about each other, things they're doing well. Um, it's little things like that that really can help get someone through the day. Next slide, please. Sorry, next slide, please. Um, Everyone plays an important part. So, um, sometimes when there's new teachers, they might be feeling very shy. You want to always like come in and observe everyone in the classroom, make sure you're not stepping on any toes. Um, some teachers might feel like I'm just the assistant, like I don't want to get in the way. But, um, just making sure to invite them in and pair them with new staff for support. Remind them that every role in the classroom is important and vital to children's success. And um, when a program has like a strong sense of community, you can see the impact and the early achievers quality recognition process. Quality isn't just about like meeting the requirements, it's about showing how relationships support children's growth and how families feel respected, teachers feel valued, and children show confidence and pro-social behaviors. So if I was going to relate this to the quick tool, I would say like quick 3, enhanced language. So like a teacher introduces a new vocabulary during snack. Um, these apples are crunchy and juicy, then can you think of foods that are crunchy and juicy? So just kind of ways to get the classroom talking and everyone, introducing new ideas. Maybe this new teacher comes in and starts telling the children all about themselves. And so now they're learning new vocabulary because this teacher is like a hiker in their outside life and they're bringing all those good things inside of the classroom. Um, these are exactly the kind of moments like early achievers highlights in like your video highlight process. Next slide, please. Creating community through your environment.
I think this is my slide.
Yeah.
But I was on mute when I started reading it. Thank you, Amanda. Okay, creating community through your environment. So community can be seen and felt as soon as you walk in the door. What do people see, hear, feel? Let's look at how you can create and show off your community or show off your community through your environment. The most effective and meaningful way to create community in the classroom is to establish predictable routines, have positive and caring interactions between teachers and children that promote self-confidence, teamwork, and trust and inclusion. Next slide, please. Making it clear that everyone is unique and everyone is accepted. So you can do this by posting photos of children and their families. You can invite families to share their culture with the class. For example, you can have families bring in recipes, and families can share holidays and cultural festivities. Children can also create like showcase their artwork. So if you have like a display wall where all children are sharing their artwork, that also creates an environment that is like that builds a sense of community for the children. Be thoughtful in how you arrange your space. Space for a long time is important, but to do group project or group settings, dominate the space. Plan activities and space that promote cooperation and teamwork. Collaborative art pieces, obstacle courses, follow the leader. The last bit is cut off, but it says challenges and more ways that children can have children. I'm just reading off of Rebecca's slide, but other ways that you can create community through the environment is when children walk through the door in the morning, you can create like a routine where they choose how they want to be welcomed through like a high five or a hug, or a dab, like anything that just like gets the day started for them. That also creates a sense of community. Circle time is like a shared space where children feel a sense of community, where they can have conversations, sing, dance. Yes, next slide. I think that is all. Thank you for watching. If you have any questions or want more information, please contact your coach. Sincerely, Team Wolfpack. Thank you.